Please welcome the incredible Nicole Culver.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I've been on this downloading all of your content thing lately.
Oh, thank you. That's so
You've
sweet.
got some really good stuff out there.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us.
I'm so excited. What are we talking about today?
All things about you and your expertise.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Love to know though, where are you located?
New York, Long
No
Island.
way.
Long Island, New York. Yes.
No way. Okay. For some reason I thought you were on the West Coast.
No, because I'm there a lot. I feel like all the business things I do are on the West Coast. So
Mhm.
we're
Mm.
I actually went to Florida. It was the first trip, like East Coast trip I've taken in like forever, and it was a short plane ride, and it was lovely.
So we used to live in New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay.
And we would frequent the Caribbean or Florida during the summer or spring break. And this past year, I flew because now we're on the West Coast. We're in
Yeah.
BC in the mountains. I flew to Florida to do an intensive, just thinking, oh, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And it is a world of a difference. It took me an entire day to get there, an entire day to get back.
Yeah, that's how I feel like when I go. I have so many things in Arizona, California, and the time it's 3 hours, right? 3 hour time difference for you too doing that. It can be a little rough, but
Yeah.
the things we do for business growth.
Right? But it's fun. It's fun when you can go, and it's just as fun when you can come home
Yes,
to be with the
100%.
little humans. So you're a
Totally.
mom
Mhm.
and you have this incredible business. So tell us about what you do and why you do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I started a long, long time ago, but right now, our current business, and we've been doing this for the past few years, is called Elevate. And we empower founders with the strategies, tools, and mindset needed to have wildly profitable, fun businesses. And we really work with people who really want to be those cycle breakers in their lives, their families' lives, and their communities' lives. And I thought it was so fun when I was connecting with you that I have that word wildly profitable in our mission statement. And here we are, the name of your podcast.
Actually, the last VIP client that I closed that this week, yeah, on Monday night after my photo shoot, they're located in Australia. They have wild as part of their business name.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is meant to be. If
Yeah.
you have wild in your business name, you have to either be on my show or become a client.
Yeah. I love it.
So what got you into it?
Well, let's see. I was a teacher. I was a fourth grade teacher, and I was like always interested in one quitting. I don't know if you ever had the traditional job, but I knew I was like not the type of person that was going to be employable for very long. So I did 5 years as a teacher, was looking for a way out, and I was really knowledgeable in health and fitness and food. So I decided to take the leap after my fifth year. We started a food company. I had a health coaching business. And that's really where I started learning, just like by a lot of failures and trial and error, about online marketing, because we had a website and we sold our food products online and in person. So it was a very long and windy road to get here, but we had a food. We've done a lot. We can talk as much as you want. Like, I was talking to a client yesterday and she's like, but I feel like I'm always starting over. And I was like, girl, you're talking to the queen of like reinvention here. I've done so many things in 12 years of running my own business, and it all got me here, and it's all worth it.
So it's funny that we talk about this. If you want to be inspired by these journeys in life, I got a text message from my husband this morning who went wake surfing because that's what they do in the morning here in the Okanagan Valley because it's calm in the morning.
Mm.
Um, he goes, so I've had a similar journey, but mine was 6 years long. It was 6 years of going from running a PR agency to doing this company called Family Academy, which was great, but not aligned with it, to coaching,
Mhm.
to back into what I'm doing. And I'm like, he goes to me, just reflecting on your journey, watching you find your stride is so inspiring and impressive. Blah, blah, blah. I go, thank you. I feel on fire. I really love this work. Thanks for your support and patience. Getting here took longer than expected, but the lessons were well worth the ride. And he goes, it took exactly what it needed.
Mhm.
And we don't think that when we're in it, when we're living in these moments of like, oh my gosh, I'm starting here, I'm starting over. It's like you're reinventing yourself again. And it's okay. You did it, right?
It's yeah, it's I mean, I feel like it's more than okay. It was required. You know, it was required for you. It was required for me to go through. And if you can think about it, like I can think about every time I walked into like a store to sell my to sell my products, like I take all of that with me every time we like did a launch and made less money than we thought or spent too much money on Facebook ads. It's like that all is like in your experience bank. Now you use it to fuel you, and you can talk to your clients in a way that helps them because you've been there. I mean, if you had this perfect journey that was just like on the up the whole time, every time you talk to someone, you would have almost like nothing to add.
I look at these people like Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield, and I just refer to these people all the time. Stu McLaren, they just seemingly were just doing the same thing for their entire career. And like that's how got them successful. But if you actually look under the hood of Amy Porterfield's career, she worked with like Tony Robbins
Mhm.
and she did a bunch of stuff prior to where she's at right now with Digital Course Academy. And so you kind of need to, they're like stepping stones to success.
Yeah, I even remember I took one of Amy's course. It was like a Facebook ads course.
Yeah.
Like this was like so like back in the day. I don't even know. Like she doesn't, and it was like Facebook groups, and you learned about Facebook groups, and that doesn't exist anymore.
I have one and I think I pop into it every couple times a month.
Oh, Facebook group.
Yeah, I know there's probably so much juice in them. Don't get me wrong, but it's true. It's just like things evolve, and when you can be in that position to see where the market's going, where the opportunities are, then you chase them.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah. And if
becomes
you're
a
always like held back by what you've been doing and not stepping into that, then it's going to cost you at some point.
100%. It's going to cost you because then you just become stagnant, and then you just become like yesterday's breakfast.
Yeah.
What food business were you in, anyways? I'm curious about that.
So I had a granola business,
Oh,
and we
cool.
had some baked goods, and yeah, that's how we started, which is, oh my gosh, talk about brutal. Just like so much hard, like literal sweat and muscle going into that business for like the teeniest. Like, how much can you really sell a bag of granola for?
Right,
Not that much.
right.
Not that much. So you're doing a lot of work for a very little amount of money.
Yeah. And then you're just like, no. So was that then the foundation for kind of building the methods and the formulas that you've created today? Yeah.
Yes, because we started running Facebook ads with that business. Like literally like 2012, like the like ad. I don't know if you remember those, but then we started building an email list from there, getting people to buy, like warming them up. We had a Facebook group. We had like the whole thing. And that's really how we started, because then people started asking like, well, how are you running Facebook ads? How are you making this work? How are you getting buyers from your ads? And we started helping other people with it. And then we
Mm.
realized like, oh my gosh, we can make a lot more money helping people with their ads and like their funnels than this $8 bag of granola.
Now, don't get us wrong. You still need a good bag of granola.
100%. I just get it from other
Somebody else.
sources.
Exactly.
Yes.
You think about the food business. I mean, that was my first job at 17. I started a restaurant with my sister.
Oh, no way.
And what we did is we took over a seasonal lease of a building that was connected to the parking lot of a gas station. And it
Wow.
overlooked the lake, and we were young, and the opportunity was there because like everything was there already. All we had to do was like clean it, get the food, get a menu, and then tell people about it. Um, and we did really well. I'll tell you, we did really well, but food business, cutthroat,
Yes.
so tough. It's so tough. And when you can do it well, very few people succeed in it,
Yeah.
then you can do really well.
100%. My mom actually opened a restaurant right as we were winding down the food business, and I was like, like you can't. It's so interesting because when you can't tell people, and no one cares what you think, right? Like, and I was like,
Mm.
oh boy, how is this going to go? I see this. I've been here, and it was fun while it lasted. She ended up selling it, thankfully, but
Okay.
it's brutal. It's
It's so
rough.
brutal. Right. So lessons learned, very expensive. And I can imagine being in the industry, you were up early doing all of the stuff to get this
Yes.
business
Well,
going.
we so right after I quit teaching in June 2011. That was like my last year. We started the food business, and we say we, like my husband helped me. He was still working in New York City, like corporate, but I was still baking everything, going to the commercial kitchen, and it was so hot and so rough. And because you can't where we live, like you can't bake out of your house. It's not legal, so you have to rent a kitchen space. And then I ended up getting pregnant, like kind of out of surprise, and being like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, I can't continue to bake in these like conditions, as in like the hot, there was like
Mm.
no air conditioning. I don't know how that was legal. So we
Oh,
actually,
in New York. Was this in New York?
well, 100%, like
Oh,
no air
jeez.
conditioning, just like hot. It would have been cleaner in my house, like, but I wasn't allowed to. And that was like our first form of delegating, because when I got up until like August, September, October, when I had my first kid, we had to delegate, and we actually hired a commercial kitchen, another commercial kitchen, to take over the baking for us. And that was like my first diving into delegation. And oh man, that's so many lessons learned there
I
too.
can imagine. So we talk about like hours you spend in your business, and you believe that we don't need to be working 40 hours a week, right?
No.
So how many hours a week should we be working in our business?
Well, I mean, it depends, but I think you have to decide what you can do and set those parameters first. Like that's how, since I had kids, before I had kids, I had a different view of this, but I was never willing to sacrifice my time with them. Now, does that mean, like, my 5-year-old's in preschool, so I'm not with her all day every day now, but I had time with them. So I always had like the boundaries around the time. So I always said, okay, about 15 hours a week is what I work now, but when they were littler, it was less. So I don't think that you need to have a certain amount of time, but I do think you can pick the time that you have, but then that requires you to really figure out like what is your sales system, and that's your first place you look every day. Most people don't look to their sales system to get started, and they do everything else. They'll do like, the website or the social post or the things that really don't matter, and that's why you're working so much.
Yeah, that is straight out of the book that I'm still reading, Ready, Fire, Aim.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's one of the books that Alex Hermosi actually recommends reading. But the first thing they say, because the book is kind of divided into three different stages of a business, like the
Mhm.
first million, the first 5 million, then it's like 5 to 10 million, 10 million plus. And there's different problems at every stage. But the first stage is exactly that,
Mhm.
is we ignore the sales because we think we have to have everything looking pretty and systematized and firing on all cylinders, when all you need to do, let me tell you, literally is go into Instagram DMs and start selling yourself. It's
Yeah,
that simple. It's that simple, but we just don't do it.
it's because we're scared.
Totally. We're scared to ask for the sale.
Yeah.
So Dan's taught me that, and I will say I've gotten a handful of clients for VIP days by doing exactly that.
Mhm.
When you love what you do and you believe in your product and service so much with conviction, you can sell. And it's not even selling. It's like, I know you need this to get to that next level, and I'm actually doing you a disservice by not selling.
100%. And people get so in their head, I think, because it's, I don't want to say popular, but common. I don't know. We're not doing the common. None of us listening here are doing the common. But when you're in the online world and we have these personal brands, I think it's a little bit easier to take things like so personally and to be like
Mm.
self-conscious. But the truth is what you just said. We're all in the service business, and people are literally walking around, the right people are walking around looking for a solution. And if you're not willing to say I can help you, then it's a missed opportunity for both parties.
100%. And I don't know, maybe women are worse at this than men because, like, I'll literally lay in bed next to my husband and I'm like tapping his shoulder. I'm like, can we talk? Can you pay attention to me? Because his nose is deep in Instagram DMs. He's like, I just closed 3 more coaching clients. And I'm like, in the 10 minutes that we were lying here, he's like, yeah. I'm like, how do you do that? And he goes, because I'm not cute. And I'm like, I don't want to be your friend.
Yeah.
It's not, he's like, I just want to be of service.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm just like, hey, let's looking at your last post with your daughter in the wagon, and she's so cute. And I'm just wondering, have you ever done PR for for your business?
I do think it's a little, I think women have it. I don't know, maybe this is just a belief, but I do think it is a little bit harder for us. I don't know, because you don't, if you, until you cross a certain threshold where you're just like, I don't give anything, I don't care anymore what people think. I'm just here to serve, and that's the fire, and I'm going to do what's aligned in my mission. And that's where I think we have to really separate like Nicole from like the human mom, friend, person, and like Nicole as the CEO of my business. And I think we have to know when we're in which role, I think.
Yeah, it is tough. There's a lot of hats we wear, and I mean, all of the thoughts and the emotions and decisions that go in our brain all day long. I get it. But yeah, I mean, there's more on that too. The term is called sell by chat. There's a lot of great free stuff online about that. But really, it's just about asking for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about, you have some formulas and methods with how you work. You have one called the 7x7 formula.
Mm-hmm.
How do entrepreneurs use that to create profitable businesses?
Yeah. So we can go as much or as little as you want into this, but it's 4 phases. But if I could just say the easiest way to describe it is it's just a sales system. And the sales system is as simple as it can literally be. And basically, as you get more into our formula, then we start expanding. So the first phase we start with is your current audience. And most people have an audience. I mean, most people we work with, because we don't work with people who are like brand new. We work with people who are experts, who have a formula, who've gotten results before, because we know like those are the people we can help the most. So we start with your current audience, and we basically do a lot of testing. What's going to get them to talk back? What are your money magnet words, which are like the 3 to 5 words that get your audience to respond? What gets them on a sales call if you're doing sales calls? What gets them on a webinar? We don't call them webinars, but for lack of my terms with your audience, I'll call it a webinar. What gets them on a live training? And then we really do testing with your warm audience. So then we can go to your colder audience and expand your audience. And that's when we start to create a very, very simple funnel to either drive people to your weekly live training or drive people to sales calls. But the bottom line is it comes down to traffic, leads, and sales. It's just very simple. And the way we work is that we know that there's a portion of your audience, like you just said, who are ready to go. They're actively looking for a solution. So it's our job to find out, okay, who are those people in my audience right now, and how do I get into a conversation with them?
So it seems so simple. So it's traffic leads sales. So you need to get the traffic. So
Mm-hmm.
there's things you need to do to get the traffic. And then when you get the traffic, there's things you need to do to convert them into sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so that process, though, it's like so intimidating, because here's the one thing that I know, because I'm living this right now, but I'm starting to trim the fat. There are so many things you can choose to do to get traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook ads, speaking, PR, all this stuff. How do you help people decide what actually would work for them?
Yeah, so this actually comes down to a time thing too, because when I started, I had really little kids. So I used ads because I didn't have the time to do the speaking. I didn't really have the time to coordinate with people because couldn't be here at 1 o'clock. I don't have a babysitter. So we just used ads, and we were willing to use ads because we worked on our system to make sure we had a return. Now I have three kids in school. My littlest goes to school from 9:15 to 2:15. So I have time to do things like this. So now I've layered onto this, but when you're starting, you just have to pick one and get it to work and optimize it before, unless you do have more time. But usually we say, okay, just pick one. Is it going to be your organic content? Is it going to be ads? Is it going to be speaking? But you have to be able to be consistent a few times a week with either one you pick. And then we say, like, okay, if you want to go all in on organic, it's going to take a little bit of time, but can you commit to showing up 3 or 4 times a week to see if we can drive traffic
Mm.
that way?
Right. So define organic.
Your current audience on Instagram, TikTok. I guess I'm not well versed in TikTok, so don't ask me about TikTok. I would
Me
say
neither.
most of our people use Instagram. Some of them use TikTok too, but it's really mostly Instagram.
Right. So you're creating this organic, essentially method
Mhm.
and schedule for you to show up. And so I mean, there's part of this too that's easy said because it's like, what do you say? How do you say it? What are we sharing? Because I know there's this framework of you share the why, but you sell the how.
Mhm.
So how does that work too? Because like saying, "Oh, wait, let's increase organic traffic."
Yeah,
I
so
mean, we all struggle. We all struggle with that. Me, I struggle with that.
I mean, I we do that, but at the same time, like, I just did a post yesterday on our Tiny Promise timeline, and
I love that.
I told how to do it, but the honest truth is I can't tell you everything in an Instagram post. Like, I just cannot give you everything you need to know in one Instagram post. So I just feel like I'm going to give you whatever value that I can. But the truth is, in order to get my entire system and my entire formula in one place where you can use it and not be like, okay, she posted this on Instagram on this day. And then like a month ago, she gave, you know what I mean? Like, that's overwhelming. So I just feel like I'm going to share as much as I possibly can on this platform, but there's no way that you could get the full experience unless you work with us. So I think
Yeah.
I understand that, but I also don't feel like I need to hold back with the content that I share because there's no way. There's just no way I could share everything I know on Instagram.
So to follow Nicole, it's just at Nicole Culver on Instagram. And see, I always look at content from people like you and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's got to be some MBA based formula to come up with what you're posting and sharing because everything is so good.
Okay, I
But I
will
want
tell
to
you.
back up a little bit because I love your idea. You just shared this thing. I don't know, was it an ad? No, it was on a story. But tell us about your tiny promise.
Yeah. So, well, let me just tell you, my formula is literally have a conversation with someone and then record what they say and then do a piece about it. That's like my whole content strategy. Tiny Promise Timeline. So it's something I came up with, and I came up with this in our last at two live events ago. We did an event in Sedona in October 2022, and it was because what I noticed was when I was helping people create their Evergreen, their weekly sales system, they were struggling because they went from like open close, so cohort style, like we all start on the first, to weekly enrollment. And what I noticed was they needed a way to create an onboard system. Now, when you switch from like cohort style to evergreen, you really need a system to get people the same experience as if they were going through it live. So how do you do that. That's what we create. That's what we call the tiny promise timeline. And and again, here's the how. It's you study your best clients. You study your clients who've gotten the best results, the ones that are like, oh my gosh, if I just had 100 of these people, I would be like, everyone would sign up for my program and everyone would be getting great wins. And you reverse engineer what they did. So you look at, okay, what made them sign up? What made them enroll? What problems were they having? And ideally, and this is what we work on, you've kept track of this. If you've kept track of their, what we call like their data tracker, this is their weekly snapshot, it makes it so easy to make a tiny promise timeline, because you saw, okay, Michelle, she came in and right away she did this, right away she did this piece of content, right away she watched this video, and then you just reverse engineer everything they did, all of the steps to get that result. And then you can create an onboard that basically mimics that.
I love that. So Joey Coleman, I forget the name of his book, but he talks about, like, I think his book is Never Lose a Customer Again. And one of his methods is wow your customers in the first 100 days. So let's just assume you run an agency or you have some sort of retainer based or an extended program, right? 6 months, 12-month program is the first 100 days, which seems like a lot, and maybe it is the time that you have to absolutely wow them. So
Yeah.
you get those little wins. For my VIP day, it's because this is relatively new to me, but my promise is that if you take the strategy of which I've created and you implement it and you do exactly as I say, you will get a win within the first couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And people are getting, one client this week just started pitching on Monday or Tuesday, and we're Friday at this recording. She already had 4 yeses. She's
Wow.
pitching to be on podcasts and she got 4 yeses. She goes, "This works." And I'm like, "I told you it would work." Now,
Yeah.
those are bigger wins, but a tiny win is that. It's like, do what I say.
Yeah.
And and you probably have the same thing. Do what you say and you'll get these wins.
Yeah, we say like do what we say and your audience will be talking back within 24 hours. Now, a lot of people get hung up with that because they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't promise that. What if it doesn't happen?" And it's like your promise is to your deliverable, that you're showing them the way. And for most people it will happen. For some people it won't, and then you troubleshoot with that and you help them make it happen. And then you take that and you put it into your program. So there it gets better and better. And when you see someone not hit the milestone, you don't panic. You just act like a scientist and you say, well, what were the ingredients that went into this? Why didn't it happen? And then you fix it. And then, like I said, you evolve your onboarding and then you can improve it. And the next person will come in and they'll hit it or they won't. And then you go through that again.
Yes. And as you improve this process of customer delight and your systems get better and you get more wins for your customers, guess what you can do, ladies? You can increase your prices.
Yeah.
And the value's there, the right person will pay for it. So that's
Yeah.
what, for me, it's like in selling my VIP days is I was selling them for like 2,500 and then it was 3,000 and 3,500 and it kept going up. And there hasn't been any price objection yet.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing this, every single time I execute on a VIP day, the value gets better because I put more into it, understanding the systems have already been created. And I can increase my prices.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I think another thing, I don't know if this is a woman thing or whatever, but first of all, there will be price objections at every price, and there will not be at every price.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like someone can say an $11 product is too expensive, but then they'll pay $10,000 for a Chanel bag or something. You know what I mean? Like price is just a perception. And if someone has an objection, then they're not seeing the value or you're not conveying the value, but both are fixable.
Yeah, so the conveying the value is probably one thing too, but also truly understanding our target audience.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I do when creating a PR manual is getting an understanding of who their customer is. People question, well, why do I need to know who my customer is if I'm doing PR? Because you need to know where they're hanging out, what they're reading to and listening to, because that's where you need to be and show up.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that helps everything be a lot easier with what I do. So I want to talk about So you talk about 100K evergreen scalable offers. Seems like a dream come true. But what really goes into creating these scalable evergreen offers?
Well, so we say 100K because we want every person that we work with to have a 100K offer. And I don't mean that you're charging like 100K. I mean, it has the possibility to add 100K in revenue to your business. So I just want to be really clear. And some people come in and they have a 5K price point, a 10K price point, and some people come in and they have $1,000. And we even have one client who she has they have a reading program that they give to parents, and it helps their kids read better, and they have a low price point, but they are like crushing it right now. And I think they had 30 sales last week at a lower price point. So it doesn't matter how much it is, but we want it to be able to be scalable to get to adding 100K at least in your business. And what does the scalable mean? Well, it means you can serve however many people you want to serve with a defined amount of your time. So you're working with your program 1 to 2 to 3 hours a week, but you can take on, I mean, ideally hundreds of clients.
What does an unseasoned funnel expert or funnel person, where do they begin their journey? And the big question too is how can they get over that tech overwhelm? Because we talk a
Oh,
lot about like you need some technology, right? Some
yeah.
things to help you deliver the service. So where do they begin?
Okay. This is so I am the queen of simplicity. Like truly, truly, truly the queen of simplicity. So if you are literally like really, truly just starting out, my best advice would be the first thing you need is an offer that people want. Like that is your most important thing. And the best free resource for that, or not free, but 99 cents on Kindle, is Alex Hermosi's $1 million offer book.
Yes.
I mean, $100 million offer book. That is
$100
like,
million offer book. Yeah.
how much money would you have paid for that book? It is
Well,
just
so I'm actually reading that book in tandem with their Ready Fire Aim book. They're both
okay.
they so it's like, do I feel like a little Alex sprinkle here? Or do I feel like I think it's Michael Masterson? I don't even know his name. But yeah, it is what was it, 99 cents?
On Kindle, it's 99
Yeah.
cents. Yes.
$100 million offer by Alex Hermosi.
Yes.
100% get that. Yeah.
So that, I mean, is the first place to start. You need an offer people actually want, and you need a way for them to pay you. We use Thrivecart. Thrivecart is like $499 one-time payment, and it needs to connect to Stripe or some other payment processor. That's the minimum. If you're really starting out, like that's really all you need. We have people that we know. I started out literally sending things in a Google Drive. Like you don't need complicated tech.
Yeah.
Once you get past, I would say like 10, 15, 20 clients, then you are going to want to start investing in some type of software. Like we use UpCoach for our portal.
Yeah.
There's Kajabi. There's cheaper ones like MemberVault. But really, when you are starting, the simplest thing you need is a way for people to pay you and then somewhere for your content to live. You don't need anything else more complicated until you start getting those consistent sales. And then that's the next conversation of the next tech stack. But if you are like also really struggling with that, then I would say that's a great place to hire a VA to just help you
Mhm.
so you don't have to do all of the tech yourself, because it can be overwhelming. But you're just starting, you want to make your first $1,000, just
Yeah.
get a payment processor, and you are payment processor and Zoom, and you're golden.
So Stripe works. So your last post from 23 hours ago, drop some knowledge bombs in there and this is on Instagram. What's it called? Like a carousel post. And the last post is say, hey, if you want to learn more, DM me the word hybrid to get a private link. And I did that full well knowing she was going to be on my show this morning. Anyway, what Nicole did, which is so smart, which anybody can do,
Anybody.
is a Loom video, which is you get what, 20 free looms. You can
Yeah.
download
I think
you
it's
get free
20,
looms.
25 free looms.
Yeah. And it's just her going over a Google document talking about her program. And it costs you like next
Not
to nothing to do that.
that it cost me nothing because I have free
Yeah.
Loom. I
Yeah.
don't even pay for Loom. So that it's a Loom, a 5-minute Loom, and then a Google Doc.
Yeah.
It's so easy. That's what, like, people make things so complicated, but really the complication only needs to come when you need to really automate. But when you're in that like first $10,000, you're trying to get to 10K a month, 15K a month, even 20K a month, like you're kind of in the hustle within the hours you have, just like throwing spaghetti, seeing what stick, and then getting into the repeat until you've basically run out of capacity, and then you got to see what you got to fix.
My Facebook ads girl, Hattie, she's amazing. We're trying to come up with some ideas on how to like create Facebook ads that would serve a cold audience.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, here's something that worked for me." Is she created the same thing as you, a Google Doc using Loom, recorded this video, ran ads to this download, and
Oh,
she used a Facebook form to get the information. And all it was how she uses Chat GBT to was it how she uses Chat GBT to get her time back to be with her daughter during the day
oh,
or something. So these
genius.
were like commands that you can plop
Mm-hmm.
into Chat GBT. It was for free. And she
Mm-hmm.
goes, I got so many people because it was perfectly targeted to the women that need to learn
Yeah,
about Chat GBT. And now she has all these people that are on her email list.
that's amazing. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many things you could do. I could think of
totally.
like
Yeah.
4.
So I know I can think of four. I can think of a million. We just did that crazy photo shoot, and I was talking with her, and I said, should we wait till all of these photos are edited? And she goes, no, honestly, Renee, just maybe do your hair, but jump in front of a camera, and I'm going to give you prompts, and you're just going to record these videos, and we're going to turn them into an ad.
Awesome.
Right. And that's just an example of one thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many things. And yes, we complicate it because there's so many great softwares out there that we can use. Like Thrivecart, I don't know. I mean, I'm going between Asana and Notion. What do I use? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as the work is done.
Right. It doesn't matter. And I think just like the faster you can make decisions,
Hmm.
fast decision making is, I think, one of the keys to business success, because otherwise you just procrastinate, and mostly everything is fixable. Like
Hmm.
there's very little in business that's catastrophic. Really, honestly, like you send out a wrong link in an email, it's not that big of a deal. You send a new one and you say, "Oops," like,
Yeah.
like the what really is going to cost you that much time or money that can't be fixable when you're starting. Bigger businesses,
Bigger problems.
bigger, yeah, exactly, bigger mistakes. But at this point, what really, like, the cost is in the procrastination.
I love that too. They say new level, new devil. And that those mistakes as you grow get bigger. But hey, they say if you want to fail, fail fast early. Get
Mm-hmm.
that out of the way and learn how to fail. Learn how
Yeah.
to fail well
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't make those expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
So anything more you want to add about the incredible work that you do?
Oh my gosh. I would say just go. Like the faster you can make decisions and not procrastinate and just keep your person that you are trying to help at the heart of everything you do, and it will be easier to make faster decisions and to get out of your own way if you literally like have that person on a post-it that you've
Mhm.
helped before, and you just think of them. Like every time you have to make a decision, think of that person. How would this
Mhm.
serve them? What would I do if I had them in mind? And just make it as fast as you can.
Yeah, I used to actually have a framed picture of a woman holding a baby on my desk because she was my
Oh,
ideal customer. And people would come into my office and they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, this is weird. I don't actually know this person. But she's a reminder of who my ideal customer is. And now I know her name is Jackie. She's not only a real friend of mine, but she's a real client.
yeah.
And she just completed my VIP day and she's getting wins.
Hmm.
So we look at Jackie from like a perspective of Jackie came to us as a version 1.0. So we call her
Hmm.
Jackie 1.0. And we're helping her bridge the gap between
Yeah.
Jackie 2.0. And how can we serve her to get there? And yes, you just got to remember you're here for that person. Those days when you don't want to show up and you're dragging your heels, think about who you're serving. That motivates you to actually do your hair
Yeah.
and show up.
I don't know if you have to do your hair, but
No, you don't.
show
I
up.
didn't today. I just put mine in a ponytail.
Me too.
Well, I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that to you?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think to just like live free and to act in the way that you want to act without worrying about what other people are going to think, just living from your heart and fulfilling your desires.
I love it. So if people want to go online to find you, where can they go?
Nicole Culver on Instagram. That is the easiest place, probably the fastest place. You could also go to my website, nicoleculver.co, but I love chatting on Instagram, so go there.
Yeah, her content's amazing. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was so fun.